The entrepreneurial spirit that you mentioned, I think started to come up really early in life. I was out mowing lawns for money, as a preteen kid. By the time I was old enough to drive, I had a job actually working for my father in his business. And when I was a junior in high school, I love this story. I hope you do too. It's a little bit esoteric, but I'll tell it anyway. When I was in high school, I went to the grocery store and they were having a clearance sale on a product called Rapples. Rapples were caramel sheets that were round. And the idea was you would take one of those sheets and you would wrap it around an apple and you'd warm it up and the caramel would stick to the apple and you've got this caramel apple. They were selling packages of 5 for a quarter. So I had a couple of bucks in my pocket and I bought as many of those as I could. And I took them to school the next day and I was selling the individual sheets to people for a quarter. So for every quarter I invested, I was getting $1 back. And just having a ton of fun with it, right? The engagement, there's a sales aspect to it, but it's like, yeah, how many do you want? How many do you need? And, I ended up buying, I don't know how many hundreds of those I purchased, but it was a really fun little endeavor. And, then I kind of got bored with it and they were out of inventory and that was that. So I think that entrepreneurial spirit for me came very early. But when I was at Apple, I was introduced to a psychometric, the measurement of psychology. And my wife was too, by the way. She was also introduced to it. And it was profound for me when I saw my results. It was profound because I understood myself in ways that I never understood previously. It gave me a lot of legitimacy for how I think, how I communicate, how I make decisions, how I show up when I'm stressed, whether I'm looking futuristically and being more strategic, or whether I have a propensity to be more tactical in nature. And that understanding was phenomenal first about me understanding myself. But the key was I now understood others significantly better. When I left Apple, I joined another Fortune 50 company. And here's the thing. I was hired as a VP. I'd never had any executive experience prior to that. I was hired as a sales executive. I never had any sales experience. And I was put into a role where I was expected to sell to enterprise. Now, coming out of Apple, a very large enterprise, but I'd never sold in that environment.